Welcome to the Mind Body Abundance Show. The Mind Body Abundance community is a vibrant and exhilarating cornerstone of your daily routine. We invite you to embark on a transformative journey with us as we collectively strive to discover the very best version of ourselves through inspiration, play, and the power of community.
I love that, especially the play part. In our community, we celebrate the intricate connection between the mind and body, recognizing the profound impact they have on one another. We firmly believe that achieving true abundance begins with nurturing a harmonious balance between these two aspects of our being. With this guided principle, we embark on a quest for holistic growth and fulfillment.
Yeah, inspiration lies at the heart of our community, and together we've had the ability to cultivate an environment where ideas are shared, creativity flourishes, and dreams are ignited. Whether it's through motivational stories, insightful discussions, or uplifting quotes, and coats. We have good coats. It's coming up. It's Wisconsin. We constantly fuel our spirits with positivity needed to overcome obstacles and embrace the opportunities that face us.
So if you're seeking a dynamic and uplifting cornerstone to your daily life, we extend a warm invitation for you to join us in the Mind Body Abundance community. We have expos, and we have shows, and we have amazing guests. Together, we'll embrace the magic of transformation, harness the power of play, and support one another in our journey toward a life filled with abundance, fulfillment, and a deep connection to the best version of ourselves. Let's thrive together.
Right? Let's do this together because it's better with the community. So Charlene, thank you so much for taking the time to be a host. I know that you do a lot of work as a guide in the Mind Body Abundance platform, and you're super busy with the Stupid Good world. So what's been going on in the world?
So the whole trajectory is becoming more cohesive as a system. So for a long time, I was really drawn to doing the food, and then the artwork popped up as an inspirational thing to bring to people to accept where they are. And now I'm actually training again at Milluminate. So it's bringing every facet together. The food develops itself. I literally receive recipes in meditation, and I'm like,
Nice.
Something new to make.
Nice.
And then the artwork I receive in meditation too, and don't ever have a clear-cut picture. I just ask the universe to guide my pen, and what comes out is always magic.
That's beautiful. You have a wish map events coming up also, right?
Yeah, Wish Maps is really special. It's an acronym for what I see happening is wish, and making a pact with self is maps. So it's literally a guide to take you through a 6-week course using 6 different words that ask you to ask 2 questions daily. Who am I, and do I believe what I believe? And it offers a safe space to understand the only way to know if you believe what you believe is to be willing to challenge that belief system. So I think a lot of people aren't willing to do that because it's not safe, and they're really not sure how. So we color, we draw, everything's black and white, and you're encouraged to take those words and to have the courage, open your toolbox, pull out that strength to go to the next step, and look at your life as not a definition of trauma or joy or anything duality, polarity, but go, if I sit in neutrality, all the things I experience become dots. The dots connect to get me to the path to my purpose. So Wish Maps is you making a map to your purpose. And with this community and Milluminate as that community, we can actually help people leave a legacy. So people have tools where they work, but your job is really your joy of being.
Right.
So when you can shift that mindset, it's like magic happens, and you actually create a map to get to your purpose. And then it's about recognizing, hey, I was born with these tools, but now I'm connected to John, and I'm connected to this person, and they offer more tools for me to continue to use the courage tool to take another step into the beyond and look at everything as a blank canvas instead of change is hard, or what do I do now, or now I have nothing. Well, the answer to everything is nothing. So if you go to that space and you see it as this blank canvas to create anything you want, now you've got the map to move forward.
I love the approach of coming at it from a point of neutrality, because then you don't have either one of those polarities pulling you in a direction of expectation or disappointment, and just going into it in a sense of being and accepting and acceptance.
Yeah, because a long time ago, I heard really clear in meditation one morning, hold nothing, embrace everything. And it reminded me of a hug. Like, how often do you hug someone and then not let go, right?
Yeah.
So if you can, like, this is an arm hug. If you can arm hug everything that walks into your world and be grateful for all of it, it's like, wow, that just opened the door to. So yes, there's ebbs and flows, but we're meant to feel. Feelings are superpower. So if you look at it in that light, it's like, wow, I got through that.
Yeah.
And now it's a longer trajectory of time before you go into an ebb. And when you stop fighting, you constantly flow. And when you do that, like water, you erode rock over time. You could literally get through everything. But you have to let things surface in order to feel. And having safe spaces like this platform to offer guidance through everyone's experience is something that I think is missing in a big way. And this is just an amazing platform you've created, so thank you.
It's so interesting that you're talking about flow, because that's where I've been in for the last week. I've been really thinking about creativity, inspiration, flow, and how all of those connect together. And some days, the last few days, I've woken up and I've not been in an inspirational, creative flow mode. And so that's why I've been talking about it a lot, because I think if I recognize it, it can be intentional. Lightning does not have to strike in order for me to be creative or inspirational, or inspired, I should say. And instead, I can take actions to get into that inspired, creative flow state. And that sounds like what Vishmaps does for you.
Yeah, it's all about alignment.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel good, sit on the fence without any emotion and go, why?
Right.
And then if you're like, well, it's because I've been avoiding it forever, then have the courage to step one step into it. If it doesn't feel good because it's not aligned, then action without alignment is futile. It's like butting your head against the wall and thinking you're not going to be bruised or affected from it. And I always say, when we speak our truth, we hear our truth. So by you voicing out loud, now you're in an awareness level where those things that you need to motivate that inspiration to fire again, it happens.
Yeah.
It ignites. And it's letting go of the stories. It's staying aware that what I see happening, like ethic. Ethic is another acronym. If words hit me and acronyms come, and it's like, what was ethic? Everything that happens, I create. So if you look at it from that aspect, you're going to stop talking in a way to yourself that is unacceptable. You're going to stop when you feel you're out of flow and go, okay, I need to just breathe through this, or go take a nap, or go to bed, or do something. Because pushing and fighting and battling and the struggle isn't real. The struggle is created.
Yeah.
And things come, be open to feeling your way through them, and then they become a neutrality. Then they become that experience that's a dot that connects.
Yep. You had me at naps.
It's funny, I never like to take naps, but when it's time for me to be down, I listen and I go now.
Yeah, I love working at home, because I used to have a couch in my downstairs office, and it was the best thing, because I would just go sleep for like 10 minutes, be recharged for the whole day, and now I have to go all the way home to do it. But we'll resolve that. We're going to be building the lounge in here soon.
Sweet.
Yep. So speaking of lounge, you're going to be in one of the lounges at the expo.
Yes, I cannot wait. I'll tell you what, the little backstory in you and I, and me being at the Brookfield Square Mall as a visitor to Wisconsin, and then you saying, what are you doing in February, allowed me to open my wings and let me jump to come here. So,
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, like, you brought me here. So it only makes sense that I'm here. But when I came back in February and did the expo, you had just started. And so you bravely put it out there, and some great vendors came. But the amount of people wasn't as big as expos I'd been to before, but they were the right people.
They were.
And this community is going to grow, and every time that you do an event, if 5 new people show up, like last Thursday was just magical. The people that showed up were tremendous, and people feeling so connected, that offering that safe space and going to an expo where you know there's like-minded, where there's a table full of different modalities that can take you to that one step further. And then the next table would be the one step further. Like, your expos have just been amazing.
It's fun because I think it's, I love the big expos. Like, I love big conventions. But there's something to be said about the smaller events, because in a smaller event, you can literally talk to everybody and have time to talk to each one of the providers and the practitioners and learn about it. Because I think one of the biggest challenges is that if you have an ailment or you have something that's wrong with you and you're not in this world and you come in, you might not know that Reiki is a solution or acupuncture is a solution for multiple different things. And because in Western medicine, it's you have an ailment, you take a pill. You know, it's very one-to-one. Whereas in this type of practices, one modality may solve a whole slew of problems, from physical to emotional to mental to spiritual. So to be able to talk to all these different people, I think, is really an exciting opportunity. And you know, we've really focused on how we can cater to the Whole Foods customer, for lack of a better term, because we're right across from Whole Foods. And so we have a lot of different people at the event. There's psychics, there's mediums. There's also a lot of alternative health and wellness resources. And you can engage into some enlightening sessions with these people and their presentations. We have a quiet room where they're going to be doing readings. And there's a lot of top practitioners from around the country who are going to be there. So I'm really excited. That's my little spiel of what it's all about. And so I hope that you don't miss out. And we'll put a QR code up on the screen so that you know how to get in touch with us.
Yeah, so the first expo in February, I brought a whole Stupid Good World. So you generously let me set up across from myself, and I had the artwork book, and I had some stuff that I had already printed up, and I had samples of all the different foods, and just brought people into awareness of how important play is again.
Right.
And everything's very bright and colorful. That's one of the main things that the feedback I got from your expo and the Dare to Be Aware Fair was how drawn people were to just the logo and the colors. And so I think there's a lot of, with a smaller expo, with this just starting, there's a lot of ways that you can meet these different practitioners without feeling overwhelmed or not getting to the whole of the expo. And this space is just amazing, like very intimate and very welcoming and safe.
It is, it really is.
Our first guest is Molly Holsen, Mindful Molly, who is a practitioner of Reiki and mindfulness. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you, Charlene. Thank you, John.
Yeah, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thanks. I wanted to share a little bit about my Reiki and mindfulness practices, mainly because they've been the number one reason I feel like a whole woman and I can fully lean into my humanity.
So, you know, Reiki and mindfulness, that's a pretty broad spectrum. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Sure. Before I began these healing modalities with myself, I was constantly searching outside of myself to both fill a void and release the heaviness of living a human existence. I'm a former Division I collegiate athlete, and I'm a chronic illness survivor. So I've learned to be with my body in specific ways. As a young mother, I began subscribing to the eating and living cleaner trends and really practicing all sorts of things I could do to become healthier, but it wasn't until the minute I decided to dedicate time every day to practice being with myself through mindfulness meditation infused with Reiki healing, there was an immediate shift within me. I began to learn and feel what it simply meant to be. Because of this, I began to feel lighter, calmer, grounded, compassionate, empathetic, more connected to myself, more connected to others and the earth, and I felt more patient and kind and a lot less judgmental. And I noticed that first with myself. And as I practiced that with myself, I watched this patience and kindness and non-judgment just naturally flow to everyone else around me. I've discovered a sacredness to being with myself, and it's in this space that I feel whole, and I just find myself continually healing.
I'm a little bit speechless because right now we're so subjected to society saying we need community, and I've always kind of been a loner, like enjoyed my own company until I was conditioned to believe that wasn't right, or until I started believing stories. So how did you start the journey, and like where did you discover the practices?
Honestly, I was scrolling through Facebook about 10 years ago, and I noticed a former high school friend had just become a Reiki master and was looking to practice on people. And I really had no idea what it was about, but I was intrigued. So I reached out to her and volunteered myself. I went into this first session carrying a lot of stress. I was a young mother. My husband and I were 10 years into our marriage. We were raising 3 school-age sons at the time. I was working part-time outside the home, full-time inside our home. And so I felt like a lot. And after I experienced the Reiki for the first time, I walked away from the experience feeling light and almost childlike again. It was such a lovely feeling. From there, I noticed doors opening for me, inviting me more into this type of work, and so I followed. I began to learn more about mindfulness meditation and Reiki, and it was such a profound change that I decided to become trained and certified in teaching both of them. In my work now, I often merge the 2 practices while working with students and clients. This work has become more than just what I can offer. It's really become a way of life, and teaching others the tools they have within themselves to quiet the everyday noise and tap into their sacred being, not just their doing, is my favorite thing to do.
That's amazing.
I would love to experience this. Can you walk us through some things?
Sure, absolutely, I'd love to. I'm gonna grab my chime from underneath here, and what I'm gonna do is just invite you into a couple practices. So I'm gonna invite you just to get yourself into a comfortable position, so however it is you're seated, in a way that you can be both relaxed and alert. I'm gonna ring my chime right now, and that's gonna signal the beginning of our practice, and I'm gonna invite you to listen to the sound until you no longer can hear it. If you'd like, feel free to close your eyes. And if you'd rather keep your eyes open, that's no worries. You can just rest your gaze down and out on the spot on the floor or table ahead of you. And I'm going to invite you to move your awareness into your body, noticing the points of contact your body is making with the surface underneath you. Notice your tush in the chair, your feet resting on the bottom of the chair. And I'm going to invite you to notice gravity, that gentle and strong force holding you in one place. And can you allow your body to get heavy with gravity? Feeling a sinking and a settling within. And as you allow yourself to get heavy, notice how the surface underneath you rises up to support you. Do you have room to allow yourself to feel heavy and settling while feeling supported at the same time? Soften the muscles around your eyes. Relax your jaw by gently pushing your tongue to the roof of your mouth. And let your shoulders fall away from your ears. Notice if your heart space feels open or closed today, knowing both are okay. Notice your belly, and the space between your hips. Notice the tops of your legs, the bottoms of your legs, and your feet. And I invite you to broaden your awareness to all of you resting on the chair. Can you feel all of you at once? And if you're unable to notice all of you, that's okay. Just see what you notice. And when it feels good, I invite you to notice your breath. No need to do anything with it. Just notice and accept it exactly as it is. Can you give yourself permission to rest in the wisdom of your body, knowing it knows exactly what it needs to do to keep you safe and alive? Follow your inhale, which is always followed by your exhale. If you can breathe through your nostrils, I encourage you to do so, but if you need to breathe through your mouth, that's okay too. Just notice where you feel your breath. Keeping your awareness on your breath, I invite you to see a color in your mind's eye. Whatever color or colors pops up for you. There's no wrong answer here. Just notice what color pops in. And on your next inhale, I invite you to breathe that color into your body, filling up every inch, every cell of your being. And when you are fully expanded with your color, pause for a moment and slowly release it with a long and slow exhale. If your color changes, that's okay. If it stays the same, that's okay. Practice this type of breathing just for a few seconds, filling yourself with the color of your choice, and then releasing it out and all around you. Noticing one more inhale, filling yourself with your color. And on your exhale, I invite you to let that color go out and all around you. And just return your breath to its natural way of being. And once again, noticing your body sitting on the chair. And in a few moments, I'm going to ring the chime again to signal the end of our practice. All you have to do is listen to the sound and slowly bring your awareness back into the space around you. And open your eyes only when it feels good. And just simply notice how the world looks all around you and how you feel in this moment.
What's your color, John?
It was kind of an iridescent blue. What was your color?
Orange. Saw all these colors flash and then all of a sudden just boom, orange.
Do you use orange a lot in your art?
No,
Interesting.
some orange.
They've been doing the iridescent blue a lot, so that's it's my thing. I like it.
And the colors have different significances.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like,
You can look it up. I have it in the sheet over there, but it's not here.
That's amazing that you have all of that information, and you tie it into the seeing the color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I use imagine a part of nature too and breathe that in also. So
I've done a lot of guided meditations, and I've never done something like that where you wrap yourself in a color like that. That was interesting.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that felt good.
Good.
Yes.
yeah, orange is really significant to my father. who passed in 2020. And since the full moon, he actually appeared next to a star while I was running in the dark one morning. His whole silhouette was there, and something had happened that was a long time taking to end. And he just said, "You're free now." And so he's been like, I can't get rid of him the past week. He's freaking everywhere. But yeah, orange was his.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for that beautiful guided meditation. We're gonna definitely put that on the platform because I think that's such a powerful guided meditation that you can come back to and just kind of recalibrate and reset. So we'd love for everybody to get in touch with you. Yeah, and we'll put your social media and your email
Perfect.
in the links below.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a joy to be here.
Thank you so much.
Hi, and welcome to the Mind Body Abundance Show. Today, our special guest is Betsey Herden. Welcome, Betsey.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming today. I've had such a connection with you over the past few months. How we met, the whole eclectic story, pretty amazing. I love your story. I really look forward to sharing this with people and sharing your journey. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Betsey Herden opened Milluminate with the hope to help those who have traveled a similar path. She encourages people to listen to that music that motivates them at the volume they desire to help motivate themselves during a session. In addition, Betsey is a gifted practicing psychic and medium. In order to best utilize her gifts, she began to study shamanic healing practices. She feels incredibly lucky to have found her life's calling. So welcome, Betsey.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what it is you do?
Okay, it's kind of hard to explain what I do. So are you okay with a little bit of role playing?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So what I do is I help people find what their different trigger points are. We all have those different things about us that there are shadow side, there are flaws, there are character defects, and those are created through primal wound triggers. So give me something that triggered you this past week, and it can be something very simple, or you can give me something big, however vulnerable you want to feel.
How about something that triggered me about 45 minutes ago?
Love it. Let's do it.
So I was in a place very familiar to me, a place I've been many times, and people I've had many conversations with were walking right past me like I didn't exist.
That's a great example. Okay. All right. So the way that I look at this is there are 5 different trigger types. There's rejection, there's abandonment, there's betrayal, humiliation, and injustice. Okay. So depending what had happened in your earlier years are going to define what was triggered in there. And that trigger is this internal dialogue that goes on. So you were walking, you're noticing people that you have known all around you, and they're ignoring you, right?
Interesting.
Almost like they don't see you at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
So right away, that tells me that abandonment is one of your primal wounds. You were triggered because they felt, or they didn't even see you. Abandonment doesn't mean that you were abandoned as a child. Everyone goes there, and I don't know. No, it means when you were growing up and the ages before 7, your core needs, something in your core needs were abandoned. So if you don't mind me getting a little personal.
First, let's go back to more about your story.
Okay.
How you were led to this and why it resonated and how it took you down a new path.
Okay. Yeah. My story. So I went down this path. I actually went to college to be a counselor. I specialized in AOTA, which is alcohol and other drug counseling. And I was like, well, there's no money in this. I'm not going to do this.
Right.
And there's something about the burnout that was involved in it, just getting overwhelmed and everything like that. But really, it just wasn't my right time to do it. So as I went down this journey and I started recognizing different synchronicities that were happening in my life, for the loss of my child, to my journey down sobriety. These were all things that started leading me to this as a calling. Because at first, this was just something I piddled with a purpose, and then it became a calling.
Got it.
So I needed to figure out why I kept repeating the same patterns. It's like when you keep going for the same guy, it's the same guy, but with a different name, but it's the same guy. And you're like, why am I that bad of a person? Why do I keep punishing myself?
And you're metaphorically dating someone from your past that you're still trying to please, that you're still trying to get acceptance.
Yes. But so what that starts, I needed to go down this path and figure out why I kept doing this, why I kept having people that would betray me. And I felt like I was always being abandoned by people. And I was like, something has to give. Okay. So I started doing research and I started coaching and mentoring with a man named Marcus. Brilliant man.
So would you say this was your big catalyst for change? Was the connection that you had with this other soul with Marcus?
There was so much leading up to this, but this is what led to my trauma coaching.
So with trauma coaching, I know it's much different than traditional counseling. So what do the credentials look like? Like, where were you led to be, quote unquote, certified to be telling your story and using your experience to help other people connect dots to heal from their experience?
Beautiful. So, so a little bit about my background. I was a certified AOTA counselor, got my degree in human services. And then I started practicing a lot to do with mediumship and psychic abilities. I've always had this little gift, and it was kind of frowned upon in my family and kind of pushed to the wayside just due to different belief systems and, you know, how it would be viewed upon. So at that point, I started dabbling a little bit more. And I had this really profound experience that happened where I had a bunch of lost souls that connected to me, meaning they latched on to me because they needed my help, but I didn't know how to quite help them yet. This led me to a shaman that had to do a clearing on me. And she was so amazing. Her name is Jill. And she taught me how to help these souls cross over. And that's when I went into becoming a shamanic practitioner. So a shamanic practitioner, you got to go through your directions. You have to do this healing yourself. And so the journey all kind of meshed together, but it was such an easy flowing. And I like to say I'm a buffalo. So meaning by that is I like to go through the storm. When I have hard things going on or when I'm called to do something, I'm going straight into the storm like the buffalo, where a lot of animals, they run from the storm and the storm always catches up. But I go straight in and I'm like, I want to learn this. And I realized that was such an innate gift for me, was the shamanic. But no matter what I cleared with becoming a shamanic practitioner, I still started repeating patterns. So then I'm like, why do I have to keep clearing? Why can't we find the root of this? And that's when I hooked up with Marcus.
Gotcha.
And it was more of the psychology base behind it, which then brought me back to my degree. And so typical counseling is this conversation. And to me, don't get me wrong, there's a place for talk therapy, and I love talk therapy. I mean, that's what I went for, right?
I feel like there has to be this start, and to know that you can relate to people, even though you're not afraid to go through the storms. That's most people's sticking point. you actually had the experience of the experience. So the talk therapy came first, you grew, you cleared.
Yes.
The next thing came, you grew, you cleared.
Correct.
So it's the calm before the storm, running through the storm, clearing, growing, and coming out even stronger with less of a storm on the other side. So the breakthrough to addressing like what happened with me this morning.
Okay. So my number one is betrayal. So I'm one of those people that it's very hard for me, or was very hard for me, to trust. And what I realized is I kept attracting that same person that would betray me, is because we're all mirrors for the universe. Going back to this morning where that trigger with abandonment, all right? So yours was abandonment. It told me that right away. These people don't see you. They're ignoring you, okay? You're invisible, all right? So that tells me that when you were younger, one of your core needs weren't met. You weren't given the nurturing, the compassion, the affection. So what happens is that internal child, which is always in us, she got triggered because she felt that they all abandoned her. All these people that knew you just walked right past, totally ignored you. So that inner child is now triggered, and you started acting out in whatever your archetype is. I could tell you what your archetype is, but that's why people pay me the big bucks that come do counseling.
Yeah, don't do that. So how much is involved when a person, because I've been through the shamanic healing with you, and I have done Reiki, I have done esoteric healing, I've done energy kinesiology. It was a completely different experience than anything I've experienced. And it was from start to finish completely different. I believe the key to having the experience I did with you was the breath work and remaining open, not fearing what you're going into, but letting it release. Because things that I thought, and ironically, it was something I had abandoned that
ironically,
I thought
weird
I had healed from. And a lot of my truth of being human is I don't want to be here anymore. And all I remember is crying out loud hysterically, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. By the end of it, the storm had cleared. My body stopped flailing around all over the place uncontrollably. And I was like, oh, wow. I felt detachment. I felt cleared. I felt like I had just sweat for 3 hours through my eyes. And it was just this beautiful, the sun came out again, and I did feel, now I did also really dig into what you told me in doing the work after.
Yep.
And it was something that I recognized some of that stuff came back, but just being aware of it through your healing session, I was able to dismiss it and just be aware.
Yeah.
So it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I always like getting the feedback.
Tell me more about shamanic cleansing. Like, what is it? How do you help people? How do typical people feel after? Is it what I explained, or does everyone have a different experience?
Everyone has a different experience. And what will determine that experience is if you're willing to surrender. That's the biggest thing. Because like you were saying, I was crying, I was yelling, I was flailing. Weird stuff happens. One of my sayings at Milluminate is, shh, it gets weird at Milluminate. If you spell that out, it's real funny. So the big thing is, yes, you have to do a pranayama / fire breathing type breath the whole time. The whole time is about half hour to 45 minutes. And then we play. I use my intuition to guide you to see where that traumas are led. So for you, it was abandonment. All right. So that was something that was so like entrenched that it keeps appearing because you're abandoning different aspects of yourself. Or before you go through the healing stages, it's like, what do I keep abandoning in myself? So we play the real. And playing the real includes like playing that movie inside your head of all the times that you were screaming out for help and no one was there. Or you were alone and no one was playing with you on the playground. So where you felt completely abandoned by the sources that were supposed to help you most, your friends, your family. So by playing that reel over, it's bringing it up and your body's just taking over, and it's to release those old stories. And then the coaching comes afterwards in order to make it so we don't start repeating patterns again. So yes, I like to call it right after you're done with your shamanic clearing, you get blissed out. So it's my favorite part. Like I love it so much. So people are probably listening like, why would I ever want to flail around and scream and cry? This sounds miserable. Yeah. But the reward at the end is so worth it. Let me tell you. It is a feeling of pure bliss, and where you feel completely connected to your higher power, to source, to spirit, whatever you call your higher power, God. And it's a feel of light. It's a feeling of just like that heaviness is completely lifted away, and the feeling of connection with something greater than yourself. And that is very normal, but the way the process looks is completely different for all people. And it all depends what they're going through and what things have to be removed and that I'm pulling from them or what I'm kind of digging into. So, yeah.
I think the biggest reason that I felt that lightness that you're explaining is because I had the epiphany a long time ago, and it supported the epiphany that abandonment is just separating from yourself. And that self-segregation, thinking that you need other people or things in your life to be whole, once you realize you've abandoned yourself, you become more of a whole person, more optimal.
Correct.
And the less you feel a need and more you're in alignment with a cohesive want to be in. And I think that's why you and I were so sparked and led to each other.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
the way you were looking at me the day I met you, I have the two things playing in my head, and then all of a sudden we had a phone conversation and you were very human, and then you're like, oh, your guides are really funny. And I was just belly laughing internally going, this is going to be an amazing connection.
Yeah.
Hence,
yeah,
trusting.
And that's what it really does come down to is we abandon that inner child, especially if that child was never nurtured. So if a lot of us from our generation, we're not going to name that generation, but our generation, we grew up really fast. So we weren't really nurtured by our parents. So we never really had a childhood. So it's reconnecting us with that inner child so that we don't need to go to outside sources in order to feel complete, just like you said. And that's so brilliant. Or when we're done betraying ourselves over and over, we will stop being betrayed by other people because we are the mirror to the universe. So whatever we're doing internally or to ourselves, the universe is like, oh, she likes that. She likes being abandoned. Great, let's send more her way.
So I have to share with you what I didn't tell you about my trigger this morning.
Ooh.
And I had to remind myself of this awareness that I now have. And I continue to do that. Before I went into the gym, I literally put an energetic bubble around myself and asked to be protected. And I bubbled myself up and I mirrored myself out. So literally all those people were walking past me because they were seeing themselves and not me.
Yeah.
So there's just so much. connect alignment and magic to everything you do at Milluminate. And it's literally just about trusting yourself, being more aware, and doing what we call personal playtime.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for more people to come to Milluminate.
Me too.
Thank you so much for being here, for sharing, your experience, for being vulnerable with us, for being brave with us and courageous. And I'm hoping more people come. What do you have coming up that people can come and see you with?
So we always have events coming up. We have a nice event space. When I was just talking about primal wounds, I learned that from my mentor, Marcus, and he wrote a book called IRAM. And so he's starting a new group training to go through his entire book. That's going to find out your archetypes and why you tick the way you do. It is deep. When people say shadow work, this is shadow work, and this is what I do my coaching on as well. So if you don't like that group setting, we can do individual. That's on the September 16th. We also have esoteric acupuncture. So that is a very rare type of acupuncture, and it's to kind of send you in blast off. So if you like those more phenomenon-based things, esoteric acupuncture is it. So Christy Kern will come in, she'll needle you up, and then Marcus does a sound bath. We do Meditation Monday. It's donation-based. It's for the entire community.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Okay, and I want to make it very clear. I am not just a type meditator. I love that. Great. Let's relax a little bit. But I'm going to teach you to meet your guides. I'm going to take you to past lives. I'm going to take you on a journey. So my meditations are a little bit different. And then our acupuncturist will come in and they'll do needling. And then Reiki students will come in and do Reiki practice once a month. Which brings me to my next thing. So I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I have Reiki 2 class on the 29th at 5:30, and then Reiki 1 class, which is Saturday the 30th at 10 a.m. And what's really great is I don't believe that things should just be put in a box. Like shamanic should be in one box. My husband calls it the Harry Potter houses. Like, are you an energy worker? Are you Hufflepuff? Or are you Ravenclaw? And I'm like, I'm all in. Like, I want to mix it all together. So I like to teach Reiki with a little shamanic twist on it. And I like to do a lot more visual learning for people that may not feel energy quite yet, to prove this is a thing. This is a real thing. Just like your bubble was a real thing. And then we have self-care astrology with Brett. And Brett is this beautiful astrologist. And he's going to come in and he's going to teach what self-care needs are needed in the fall season because the autumn equinox is coming up. So we need to make sure based on your astrology sign and your rising and your moon, what self-care is going to be best needed for you in that transit.
Well, if there's one thing I can say is you're definitely not living in a box, and neither is the Mind Body Abundance platform. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everyone for watching, and we will see you soon.
Our next guest is Alahna Parker, and she is the Earth Angel, one of our neighbors here at Expansive. Welcome to the show. We are so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Alahna Parker is the Earth Angel, where she offers breathwork, yoga, and meditation, and so much more. She has been a wellness counselor at Earth Angel Studio since 2020. So ironic.
Yeah, right?
Right. So tell us a little bit about, first, welcome. It's so nice to have you here and have you in the studio. And you've been doing Earth Angel since 2020, so tell us a little bit about how you got started.
Okay, so the biggest inspiration for me was the pandemic, just to see the state of the world. I noticed that I wasn't really panicked. That was because I had just got out of full-time therapy for myself as a veteran. I got up here and went into full-time therapy and work on myself. I started using a lot of the modalities that ended up being the services that we offer at Earth Angel Studio, such as yoga, guided meditation, grounding. These things saved my life. And so I became dedicated, and I dedicated my life to spreading the word. So the way it evolved was the pandemic hit. We all had to be inside. We were all afraid. We didn't know what was going to happen next. And so I created a platform, the website, and offered virtual services like guided meditation, and that went into tarot. And then I just started advising my clients about, okay, what about nutrition? This is an opportunity to eat healthier. We can't control what's going on outside, but we can control how we treat ourselves. Let's take this opportunity to foster a healthier relationship with self, and then allow that to, you know, spread into our families, our relationships, in our environment, and in our community. So
That's so important, because I think when things go tough, people go to, I do at least, I go to bad food. Like when things are tough, it's like, I need a cheeseburger and some ice cream to go with it, right? So, you know, I always default to the bad habits, and I think where you're hitting is just perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I love how what came through you impacted your life in a way that you knew that's what you had to do. Absolutely. And that whole self-recognition during the pandemic was gone. I mean, there was so much disconnect. Divorce rates went up, like amazing. And of course, fast food was all-time highs in sales. And I mean, it just, I think, such a huge nod. First, thank you for your service. And two, thank you for being brave enough to go within and recognize, like, wow, this is what I have to give the world.
For sure. Things that I experienced in my life prior to the pandemic actually wound up being my purpose, wound up being my medicine. So I now look at my past with gratitude, and I'm in a place where I can look to my future with excitement, and also being aware that things are going to happen, right? We can't control what we can't control. But again, these practices help us stay grounded through the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, the peaks and the valleys.
So how has what you've experienced impacted the clients you work with?
For sure. First and foremost, it's just about bringing it to their awareness. I cannot do the work for anyone else, right? And I feel like a lot of the time that's the initial sentiment, is that I'm going to provide a service that kind of replaces the pill, right? But it's about leaning on yourself and understanding that we all have the ability to be tuned in. We all have the ability to have foresight, and we all can use self-love to heal ourselves, right? And then there's also the collaboration with nature and nurturing ourselves, being aware, the truth, being grounded in the truth. These are all things that helped me grow as a person. So then it's like the personal development aspect. So when a client comes in, we sit down and we do the work together. Me as a guide, a counselor, and with them having homework to go out and say, okay, let's just pay attention to what our thoughts are as we're driving. Let's turn the radio down and kind of just, without judgment, monitor our thinking. And in that way, we start to realize, like, okay, I may have to do some work, some inner child work. I may need to meditate. And then just the practice of meditation is, for me, the most powerful, because that daily practice sets the tone and kind of brings you back to your center and help you to realize, okay, I love myself. That's not the truth. The things that are trying to come in, that's not my truth. I believe that I'm strong. I believe that I'll persevere. I'm resilient. I'm beautiful. I'm wealthy. And then we walk in that, and our life begins to unfold in that way. The mind is a muscle. And so I feel today a lot of our clients are just overstimulated and controlled by the media, even if it's on a subconscious level. But we can also reprogram ourselves. We have the power to do that. So when someone walks in, I don't give them something that they'll become addicted to. I don't give them anything that they will need to come back to me for. I want to be a part of the process of healing and in their growth. And that's how I spread the word.
That's freaking amazing.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
So many people, even in this space, become so full of fear that they aren't going to have clients, and they hold, and they're what can I offer them to come back? What can I, like, that is such a natural progression of people learning and growing. And because we constantly do the work, there's always going to be enough work. Like the fact that he opens up a space to people that do the same modality, everyone carries a different energy. Your energy is so much different than Molly's. Molly is in the Reiki and in the meditation space, but people need to be drawn to something that's that which is likened to itself is drawn. So when that happens and that dot connects, you don't just go to a Reiki practitioner because they're a Reiki practitioner. So again, that whole space of connecting with yourself is just...
Absolutely. On the surface level, yes, I'm a woman. Yes, I'm a person of color. Yes, but on the deeper level, we just feel connected as beings. So yes, I love that you have so many different people, because like Molly was someone I just felt calm. I just felt so calm about it. But you know, for me, I like to think of myself as just bringing awareness. Hey, how do you feel right now? And is that your truth? Okay, well, we can begin to rewire our brains. And when someone doesn't need me anymore, that's my idea of success.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
You know, we always challenge our guests to show us something that can really change people's life or change their day and make an impact. So can you show us a little bit about what you do?
Okay, so like Molly, I want us to get into a comfortable position. I find that with a lot of these meditations, what we have in common is being connected to the breath, getting grounded, getting centered. And so I want to invite you to close or lower your eyes, your eyelids, and get connected to the breath. With each breath in, I would like for you to breathe in a calming sense. And with each breath out, we're going to release some of that tension that we're holding in our bodies. Breathing in, calm. Breathing out, tension. Just release and let it go. I'm going to do that for a few moments. Being open to receive. Now I'm going to begin to guide you in a meditation while you observe and listen. Just take in what I'm saying and notice how you're feeling without judgment. I am beautiful. I am wealthy. I am healthy. I am accepted. I am loved. I am seen. I am appreciated. I am creative. I am strong. I am intelligent. I am grounded. Notice how you feel. Take a few more moments to observe, and when you're ready, bring yourself back into the studio back into your seat. And gently open your eyes. Remember what you thought. And if you feel ready, can share with me your thoughts.
That was like a really calm into a high, and as soon as you said I am grounded, I just felt like like not even heavy, but just strong in who I am, believing or being one with, do I believe I am? Like,
I love that. I love that, because when I first started meditating and doing breath work, I was noticing my insecurities more, right? And when we're in wellness, I think a lot of the time there's this pressure to always be in a positive state ourselves, and that, for me, that's not reality. And so I need this as a lifestyle. And even in my imperfections, I'm relatable, and I think that's my superpower. And so when we share space like we do, I often try to stick to gratitude and say, okay, you're here, you're in the beginning phases, you're an entrepreneur. There's a lot about the world that doesn't make sense, but that's okay, because you are on a path and these people are your comrades. There's a maybe not a war going on, but there's a light and a dark and balance. And I like to think that I came here to work on the side of the light beings and learn and grow myself, to be an example. So yes, we came from this place. We came from similar backgrounds. I am a veteran. I had to see and experience some unsavory things. And so for me to heal, I had to really push myself. And I still live with a lot of anxiety and things like that. But my story and my practice is actually providing me with a lifestyle that I've always wanted, even as a child. So I just really appreciate you guys having this platform and us crossing paths today.
That's so beautiful. I appreciate how you distinguish the contrast, because I often think that if I am connected to the love of the universe, and you know what you said earlier about things don't always go good, if I'm connected to the love of the universe, I know that I'm in the right place and I'm on the right path. And it's hard. It's the challenge always happens for me is that when things get tough, I want to go into those bad habits, those old warm fuzzy blankets of insecurity and fear and all of those things. And you know, being focused on the love and the light is such an important reminder. And I really appreciate the meditation. You talked about at that moment when you said about being grounded, I felt taller. Like I felt like just I could see myself stand up a little bit taller. So that was a beautiful meditation.
Thank you. And just notice that everything I said I believe to be true, right? The thing is, when I would meditate in the beginning, I would feel a little triggered because it wasn't my truth yet. So I love that. It's science. It's just science, guys.
I think it was your truth, you just didn't believe it.
Right, I did not believe it yet.
That whole question, who are you and do you believe what you believe? Like,
Yeah.
Long story short, I went back to a place I hadn't been to in 3 years last summer as a chef at a Jewish kids camp. I was an allergen chef. And I literally walked in the kitchen and I heard my inner voice say, you're not who you were the last time you were here. Mm. And I quickly grabbed a pen and I'm like, and then later did an artwork piece and hung it on my board. And as summer went on and things happened, it was moment to moment to moment. So it's not even geography. It's like, there's so much world within, and it's like the map to, you said something I wanted to touch on about the client who was talking about the outer world. Mm-hmm. And our reality dwells within the inner world. And it's sight versus vision. And that vision will always ring true when you get to the point where you believe what you believe. So it's just such an amazing trajectory that you've been on, and the light you carry is enormous. So I know if I would have known you as a kid, I would have seen it then too. Like,
I was a cool kid.
I'll
But
bet
know
you
what?
were.
We had our little clique. If we were all kids together, we would have gravitated towards each
Yeah,
other. That's how it
yeah.
works,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I just love it, what you spoke about, inner world. The frequency is just flowing, the consciousness is just flowing through us. We're borrowing this vessel, and we're not our flesh, we're not our vessel. And just the more we know and the more we walk in it, the more beautiful it gets. I love it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank
so
you.
tell us some stuff you have coming up. Where can people find you?
Yes. Okay, speaking of veterans, Earth Angel LLC has partnered with the Sherman Phoenix Foundation, and we are going to provide wellness services to the veterans at no cost. We're talking sound bowl meditation, breath work, chair yoga, which I love. It's so fun. If you've never done chair yoga, please, yes. And just providing healthy snacks, and then we're going to have practitioners and therapists on board to just give, information about where to find them, just to show that there is no stigma. That's an illusion, and that the therapists are out there and that they're ready to help. So I just that I know enough to know that it's happening soon, but we actually just got the okay and the green light. So more to follow. I would say follow me on Instagram. Earth Angel Studio is on Facebook, and the website is www.earthangelstudio.com. And you can hit me up there. You can just start typing in, and it hits me right on my phone, and you will be talking to me. So looking forward to connecting.
I love too how light and colorful you are, but your logo is black and white.
For sure.
I was so drawn to your logo the
Yeah.
first time I walked in this building. I was like,
cool.
and then your picture up there with all the color, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You should come by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll see you at the expo on October 7th.
You sure will. I'm a vendor, so
Yeah.
thank you so much for that
Thank you
too.
so much.
Alrighty.
This was a powerful, this episode really, it changed my life because I really got grounded and connected. What did you get out of today's show?
It just reminded me of how important it is to go within, and that we are whole and optimal as we are, and we need to honor that, and then more people on that same journey come into our lives.
Yeah. It's all about community and connection and doing this together. Thank you both for being here again. And thank you, Molly and Betsey, for your insight today also. And we'll see you next week on the Mind Body Abundance Show.